Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I've got a video for you about pre-orders. Does anybody else feel like that pre-orders are getting just a little bit out of hand? If you're a video gamer, then surely you have to feel this way. The pre-order advertising is everywhere. The gameplay that you're going to get to see is me using silenced Akimbo UMP45s in Modern Warfare 2. We're doing MW2 because I wanted to go back to a simpler time before the big pre-order hype train started. And this was right before it started. Akimbo UMP45s are in no way advantageous at all. My sprint out time, or the time to go from sprinting to shooting, is slower than most people's aim down sights time. They're not accurate. They don't do enough damage to compete with these other weapons. I'm just playing a completely disadvantageous but fun class. You're going to get to see me struggle, but I do very well. And I wanted to talk about pre-orders because I just feel bombarded by the ads a little bit too much these days as a gamer. I feel the pre-order culture is probably heavier in gaming culture than just about anywhere else, though it has spread to other things. I see it now, especially with cell phones, some computers, and even cars. If you're into cars and you look at really nice high-end cars, they actually let you pre-order cars. It used to just be a literal pre-order. If the business knew the product was going to be rare, or was extremely popular, or there was a limited production run, or for whatever reason the logistics didn't work out and you weren't going to get very many in your area, then you had the luxury of pre-ordering the good so that you could kind of reserve your spot and not have to worry about showing up in line or have that frustration of it being out and checking 3 stores and it's all out at 3 stores. You can just go pick it up, which is a good thing. That's something I support. However, it was a little bit too advantageous for the businesses and it was a little bit too easy for customers to do. So instead of becoming a rare issue that you needed it on occasion or for really big things, it became a mainstay of most businesses. Video games really big into pre-ordering. There's a lot of pre-ordering on cell phones now, reserving the next iPhone, reserving the next Samsung Galaxy or whatever. High-end cars do it. Kickstarter, if you haven't thought about it, is a type of pre-order. Basically all you're doing is pre-ordering a new technology on Kickstarter, and Kickstarter is a little bit different in that it allows you to happen, but you're just pre-ordering something so you'll be the first to have it and be the coolest or whatever. And it's getting a little bit too much, but it's not going to stop because it works very well, and we buy it. All of us buy into pre-orders. I know I do, probably more than I should. You do. I'm not like blaming you for pre-order culture. It's not necessarily an entirely bad thing, but it goes on because it works very well for the businesses, and consumers also see a value for it. I'm going to go a little bit historically here. My first experience with pre-orders being a thing was with Halo 2, and this was just to get the game. When the Xbox One launched, Halo revolutionized first-person shooters. What Halo did with shooters was radical and revolutionary in the day. Halo 2 had an immense amount of hype for the sequel, which I don't think it personally lived up to, but it was still a very good game. I lived in a small town in the South. Unfortunately, there were no pre-orders available for me. I had to do the line at Walmart to get it, which was the only store in town. But I had some friends of mine that were lucky enough to be able to travel to Jackson, Mississippi and put in their pre-orders and try and get the game. And it was like a big deal for them to actually be able to get it on the first couple of weeks or not have to wait till Christmas or just pray to God that something is in stock somewhere. GameStop picked up on this. GameStop was one of the first stores to do this, and they kind of made a business model out of it. Before good logistics or marketing surveys, or before the mass production, or before games were really mainstream, believe it or not, you could just not have enough of the games and they would just sell out, and that's too bad. Think of them kind of like console launches. You remember when even still the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 are in limited quantities, especially the PlayStation 4, you just can't get it everywhere. It's hard to find. Imagine it being like that for just about every single video game, and that's how it was because, well, that's just how it was. So a lot of times no pre-order meant no game for a couple of weeks. And businesses like locking in revenue before the sales even occurred with pre-orders, because with pre-orders, you're basically paying for the thing before you even have it, and the business gets their money now, and they can invest it now, and there's a time value of money, there's an interest rate. In business, you always want to take money now over money later, because money now is worth more. That's just mathematically how it works out. And it also allowed them to track future sales, to estimate how much they need to produce, and later on, as it became more popular, it even became part of the marketing machine to just kind of advertise how much your game was pre-ordered and look how popular it is, etc. It also deters you from not making the purchase. As a consumer, if you go ahead and pay your $5, $10, $20, whatever you put down on the game, we'll just say you're pre-ordering, we'll pick on Halo 5 because that one's pretty far out there. Let's say you put down $20 or $30 toward Halo 5, and the probability of you changing your mind about the game goes way down, as opposed to you just making a mental note to buy the game. Because your little mental note, you can change it later, you can decide to borrow from a friend, decide you don't want it. Once you've got money on the game, it's always like, well, you know, I'll go ahead and finish it off. Well, I pre-ordered it, I'll go ahead and get it. No need in wasting that money. Now I don't want to transfer it over, I'll go ahead and pick it up. Oh, it's only like $20. That other 20 I put in, you know, forever ago as a sunk cost or a lost cost, and you don't worry about it. And this worked very well for businesses, increased sales, especially even before the game came out. But in order to lure in more consumers, we started adding pre-order bonuses to encourage earlier pre-orders so that they get more money now, and so that you can track sales and do all this other stuff better. And this accelerated very quickly. Instead of just having pre-order bonuses within the game itself, individual stores wanted to compete with each other, because why did the store care to pre-order when, let's say, Amazon and Best Buy and GameStop and Walmart, which started pre-order. Didn't Walmart start pre-orders? I'm not even sure. That they all had the same thing to give away. There was no reason to come into the store, so they started differentiating. Amazon and Best Buy and GameStop all offer different pre-order bonuses for certain games, and they also offer bonuses if you order earlier versus later, and the rewards are different. Personally, I never found them to be super amazing. There's a few that I like, but it's more and more, and it's now a standard piece of the marketing pie. Instead of struggling to get a rare object and make it, you know, happen that you actually get your game, it's now just standard business to pump out as much like cool stuff as you can for the pre-orders. And I generally don't care about it too much. I still pre-order sometimes just for the convenience of something, so that I can go in the next day and pick up the game without having to wait in line. Or, you know, they still do sell out and they still do run out in some places. It's very beneficial with consoles and that sort of stuff. I did pre-order my consoles as my most recent pre-order. But the sheer amount of hype and marketing around pre-order sales, as an old person, or I don't think I'm old, I'm in my 20s, it just kind of drives me crazy. I feel like I'm living in a marketing bubble, and it just kind of irks me that it's standard now that we have to pre-order something to even get it. Oh, you didn't get your pre-order bonus? Man, what kind of noob are you? How does that work out? It's just, maybe I'm old, maybe I don't like new things. And the question is, how did this happen? Where did we get to this point where we had to pre-order? Because the demand for things didn't change. The business practices changed a little bit. And what I think changed versus just buying a game based on its own merits or good reviews or how it used to be, or pick it up later when it was cheaper, is that online gaming happened and internet culture spread very fast. And the number one thing about the internet is you want to be fast and you want to be first. You want to be the first to get the game, the first to get to play it. You want to level up fast. You want to learn the maps fast to stay ahead of everybody else. You want to get your experience, get your unlocks. You don't want to hear spoilers. You don't want to have your friends ruin the story. You don't want to get told too many tips because you want to learn it yourself, etc, etc. And even though I'm a little bit disconnected from pre-order culture, this is something that I'm a part of. I like being first. I like being ahead of the curve. I like catching up. I like all these things. So if I don't pre-order a game, I still get it pretty early, which is contradictory to myself complaining about the marketing. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.